So let's take a look at why Freddie Prinze had such a meteoric rise and an equally meteoric end to his phenomenal career. He could have still been doing films and television today. What happened? Why did this kid flame out so quick? So I'm going to continue with my book. Who could forget Richard Pryor's flame out routine, setting himself on fire while freebasing cocaine in his home, or the brilliant Lenny Bruce and his heroin overdose at 41. Freddie's youth, coupled with his astonishingly quick success, concocted a perfect storm, and he began taking drugs fairly early. Initially, it was coke to get him going and keep him going throughout the night. Then prescription quaaludes, originally to help him battle clinical depression, but to which he quickly became addicted. The 70s and quaaludes, or ludes as they were known on the street. They were prescribed by the dozens for everything from a toothache to anxiety, but all too often ended up as a common party drug. Kind of like fentanyl used to be prescribed for pain, and now it's just a street drug. They earned the nickname Disco Biscuits because of their popularity in clubs. It lowered inhibitions and increased sensitivity and was highly addictive. I can't believe my dentist prescribed that for me. Okay. So Freddie had another problem. He was impulsive. And one day when he was in Las Vegas, he met a cocktail waitress and impulsively decided to get married. I think he wasn't even 20 when this was going on. Cocktail waitress, Las Vegas, let's get married. I'm sure that he was high as balls when he made that decision. Her name was Kathy Cochran. I'm sure she saw dollar signs and immediately became pregnant. This is too much for Freddie Prinze, who was already dealing with the pressures of a hit weekly television series in which he had to perform every single day. They filmed these things. These weren't 6 or 7 episode series. Okay, these were 25, 28 episode series. They only got a break off in the summer. Filming was every day, every month, for months. And he had to deal with that. And he had to deal with the fact that he was still doing his nightclub routines, which kept him up late at night. And he was doing his, he was making the talk show circuit. Could you do all this if you're 20 or 19? I don't know. I couldn't. At 19, yeah. I could barely stay in community college at 19. So this was a lot. Now he's contending with a marriage and an approaching fatherhood. And believe it or not, shockingly, the marriage didn't last because he was not lighting up on the drugs. He kept partying. One of his favorite party buddies was Tony Orlando from Tony Orlando and Dawn. They partied together in Orlando's Hollywood Hills home. And after Freddie's death, I guess this really upset Tony Orlando, and he got his act together, which is probably why he's still around today. But yeah, he was in the comedic culture of drugs. All of those comedians did it back then. And he was under tremendous pressure, both in his personal life and in his professional life, to perform and to do good. And this was all crushing down on a person who had clinical depression from the time he was a child. So, of course, things are going to get dicey. So just 8 months after their marriage, and I guess before their son, Freddie Prinze Jr., was born, Kathy filed for divorce. She claimed that she feared for the safety of her child and herself because wasted Freddie Prinze would fall asleep often in the chair with a lit cigarette in his hand, and she was afraid for him to be around their child. He was forced to move out of their house and into a hotel. And so, of course, this upset him. This upset the rhythm of his life. He no longer had a wife next to him, and he couldn't see his unborn child. He was divorced before, or pending divorce, before he ever even saw the baby. And that's really sad. There are a few pictures of him with the baby, but not too many, because he didn't live long enough to take very many pictures with Freddie Prinze Jr., which is really sad. So I'm going to read this part in my book. He was missing his stand-up gigs in Vegas and showing up late on the set of Chico and the Man. Tony Orlando, his best friend, said Freddie also began talking about suicide. They discussed it often in Tony Orlando's home in the Hollywood Hills while they were taking copious amounts of drugs. Other friends said that they had begun receiving late-night calls from Freddie saying he needed peace and he needed to go home. Home is a euphemism for die, I think. His last public appearance was the presidential inaugural ball in 1977. He and his secretary, Carol Novak, were at his hotel on January 28th when he was served with a restraining order by Kathy. Good timing, Kathy. He would not be allowed to see his son. Distraught, he talked suicide yet again, and Carol told him to grow up. He went into the bedroom, and the next thing she heard was a gunshot and something hitting the floor. She ran in to find Prinze looking up at her, grinning. "Ha ha, I fooled you," he said. She called the psychiatrist, Dr. Kroger, who took away his gun and pills. Carol stayed with him that night, as she had done every night that week, babysitting this grown man. Seems like the mental health services back then weren't much better than they are today. Think we'd have learned something. Think we'd stop doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Yeah. Okay, so apparently he didn't hand over all of the pills, because the next day he showed up on the set of Chico and the Man, whacked out from the handful of Quaaludes that he had taken that morning, which was unusual for him because he usually was enough of a professional to show up on the set and perform and do the work without being high. But he was in a really bad place at this time, and everyone on the set noticed it, so they told him, "You need to just go home." And once he got home, he demanded from his psychiatrist that he give him back his guns and his medicine. He called it medicine. That's not actually what it was, but it's what he called it. And this guy did. The stupid psychiatrist, so, oh, okay, sure. And went back and handed him his guns and his pills. So I'm gonna read this part from my book. Back at the hotel, things went from bad to worse. Freddie was even more messed up on more pills, waving the gun around and threatening suicide again. The good Dr. Kroger came over at Carol's request to try and calm him and try and reclaim the weapon, but Freddie was having none of it. Kroger did manage to remove the clip, slipping it in his pocket. But Freddie noticed, threatening to break his neck if he didn't give it back. Carol, exhausted after having spent days away from her home, babysitting this guy, left. She called him as soon as she could, and when he answered, she asked if the doctor was still there, and Freddie said no. So both her and the doctor left him alone. Freddie made a series of farewell phone calls, including one to his business manager, Martin Dusty Snyder, at approximately 3 a.m. Snyder rushed over and found a completely irrational Freddie sitting on the couch and alternately placing the gun to his head, then taking it down to make more phone calls. Snyder tried to get him to give up the gun, but Freddie refused. He called his mother, then his ex-wife, telling them both, "I love you, but I can't go on. I need peace." Snyder tried to reason with him, telling him he had so much to live for and reminding him of his obligation to his mother and in particular his son, but it was like talking to a wall. Freddie had made up his mind. He put the gun to his head one last time as Snyder lunged for the weapon. He fired a .32 caliber bullet into his brain. He was rushed to UCLA Medical Center, where he died 33 hours later. He was 22 years old. Okay, so that's the sad and tragic tale of Freddie Prinze, R.I.P. He's in my book, Tragic Hollywood, Beautiful, Glamorous, and Dead. You can check it out. I have 3 of them on Amazon. See picture. Link is in the description of this channel. I have many social media accounts. If you want to check me out on Patreon, please do. It's a great way to support me and my work. I also have a Facebook page that you can check out. Tragic Hollywood, Beautiful, Glamorous, and Dead. It's got almost 200,000 fans. Please follow that if you want even more content regarding Tragic Hollywood. I update that page just about every day. I also have Instagram. My Instagram and Facebook are linked, so it's the same post. But again, if you want more content from me, you can log on to my Instagram. All of these links are in my the description of this page. Also have a new fashion blog, which I'm gonna link eventually. It has 4 subscribers. It'd be really great if I have more than 4 subscribers. It's all about fashion and my love for fashion, and I teach you what I know about fashion, which is a lot because I've been studying it for 3 decades. And if you like that, that would be great. So thank you, and I will see you guys next week.